All right, let's see if this thing will kick over. Got to go and get this adjusted. All right, well, as usual, can you guys hear me? Can you see me? Can you tell me if I'm here? Can you see the giant pimple on my face? Because, you're supposed to get one when you're about to do a live broadcast. It just is what it is, especially since it's on the side of my face facing towards the camera. But hey, whatever. As I'm sure you can tell, I really haven't had a chance to go and work on the layout here. I've got tons of stuff going on right now, and it just is what it is. So, tonight we're sitting here with our Circle K coffee and warming it up, going from there. But got tons going on. Working through. I got the new Kevlar belt in for the snowblower attachment that I made for the GT6000. And then ironically, we're supposed to have all kinds of tons of rain coming in. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure we're going to get to test the snowblower attachment anytime soon, but we'll see. Boy, is it amazing. Have you guys noticed how much full Kevlar belts have utterly, totally dumped in price on Amazon? Like the last time I ordered up a Kevlar belt for the GT6000, I think it was like $32 for a 98-inch full Kevlar belt. And I just looked it up the other day, and it's like $16. They've plummeted massively. There just is no reason for anybody not to be running Kevlar at this point. Hey, Craftsman Crusher. Glad to go and see you kicking around. I saw the warning you were coming. All right, so we got New York with Thor. Glad to go and have you here. And just a side note, a lot of you guys seem to go and think that this is really easy to do, that this comes naturally for me. I mean, look at my hand. That's stage fright. I actually get stage fright just before doing every single one of these. And that's part of the reason why I try and keep my hands down. I try not to show them too much at the start. My hands actually shake insanely before doing one of these. I'm always really hesitant. I never know how these are going to go and stuff like that. And YouTube's been so squirrely as of the last couple of months that I get kind of paranoid sometimes. But I'm here. So hi to New York. I see that we got New York here. And hello from Lynchburg, wherever a Lynchburg is. Hello to Lynchburg. Hello from Belfast, Maine, which is me. Here in actually. What's really weird, connection unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnecting. Thanks. Good job. Good job, YouTube. Glad to know your connection is unstable. So will I ever build a second mud mower? The answer is I'm kind of in a catch-22 right now. I've really debated a couple of times building another mud mower. At the other side of things, there's actually been a ton of mud mowers. We're going to put quotations there. Mud mowers listed as mud mower machines have been showing up on Marketplace on Facebook as of late. If that continues, I'm actually half torn between the idea of buying somebody else's project in order to graft it into something. Let me know. Do you like the idea of starting from scratch, or do you like the idea more of taking over another project and turning it into what it could be? A lot of people right now are big into the barn find idea and stuff like that. So what do you think? Or, barn find mud mower / the project that died type concept? What do you guys think on that? Let's see. 81,000 fake subscribes. Not really sure what you're aiming at, dude. But yeah, I am at 81,000 subscribers, so thank you for pointing it out, I guess. Good job. Let's see. Alabama. Woohoo. All right, let's see. Hope 2020 is good for you. I hope it's good for me too. You know, it well, let's just say it's starting out really well. I mean, I'm back in the house. I have an absolutely amazing, beautiful girlfriend. John's doing really well in school. I've managed to go and kick over my two favorite projects, and I potentially have a third or fourth kicking up. So yeah, I mean, 2020 is shaping up to be a really good year. Um, as you can see from here, I'm not actually in the house. I did want to go and make that clear to people because it has been coming up quite a lot, is to why it is I have this really ugly green behind me, and people have started noticing it and calling it out. It's because I'm actually up in the apartment that's above the garage, which, as far as I know, has never actually been on video ever on the channel. My father has lived in the apartment above the garage for over 12 years at this point, and it was easier for me to move into the apartment and start cleaning out his stuff where he's not actually going to live here anymore due to his health stuff than it was for me to get the house itself actually refired up and move back into my house. So that's the reason why it is that people have started noticing the pine trim is not something like in my house. The green is definitely not like in the house. So that's where I'm at right now. And eventually, when the apartment is put together in a more show quality aspect, right now it is absolutely just torn apart. Half of my dad's stuff is going into storage. Half of mine and Jesse's stuff is currently moved in. John's stuff is starting to be moved in, but I need to actually build John a room. So it's really kind of a jumble and a mess right now. That's the reason why I haven't bothered showing the apartment and panning around and stuff like I normally would. Let's see. All right, let's see. Gee whiz, we got California, Ohio, we got Virginia. Other people talking about stage fright. Yeah, stage fright is real. You guys want to hear a story about stage fright? No joke whatsoever. There's video of me actually having this happen. When I was a junior in high school, I actually ended up with a solo in singing and chorus. I managed to go in front of the entire school, sing my solo. I stood back up on the back of the bleachers in the guys section and totally passed out right straight off the back of the bleachers. Luckily for me, they actually had the training mats for the gym team was actually up behind the bleachers. I landed on a 6-inch thick training mat. They continued doing the chorus presentation, and I actually stood back up in during the next song, continued singing to finish the chorus recital, whatever they call those stupid things. But yeah, stage fright is no joke. You can totally pass out from it. That's part of the reason why I occasionally stop and I sip on a coffee or I sip on a soda. And yeah, I'm gonna end up taking snot for this, but I stole one of Jessie's Sunkiss because I didn't feel like ginger ale tonight, so I stole one of her sodas. I guess I owe her one. But yeah, so it is real. It happens to everybody, even YouTubers like me that sit in front of hundreds of thousands of people. All right. So apparently other people are seeing mud mowers showing up half finished on Marketplace, and some people say I should do a takeover. That's good to know. Thank you everybody for kicking in on that. If it's a good deal, well, yeah, no kidding. I mean, look at who you're talking to. I'm the guy who buys $50 machines and rebuilds them to sell for $300 to $700. Come on, we only do good deals here. Not really, actually. I've totally gotten hosed on a couple of deals, but you know what? I show you guys every time I get hosed too, because I want you guys to go and see the reality of what this kind of lifestyle is like and what I end up dealing with. You know, I don't color code. I don't color it any other way other than the real reality of what it is. Oh, by the way, look, I found my chair. God knows what it was covered in. I've actually been coating it in, I've actually been walking by and coating it in scrubbing bubbles and spritzing it with scrubbing bubbles for about a week now. There was some interesting, oddly colored substances on the chair, but it seems clean now and it smells like scrubbing bubbles. So I'm going to pretend that I never saw whatever was on it. Let me see. All right, let's see. We got Mudmowers from Hell says, build a mudmower sitting on 12-inch rims all around with a nice stretch. Big V twin, Briggs. That's what I would love to see. Well, you're... I actually do have a debate on a build. Only I'm thinking 14-inch rims with probably 235, 75, 14 tires on it. And can't quite decide on a stretch. 12, I've debated the stretch thing, except for the problem is on the machine that I want to build it on, actually stretching it might make the belt a problem. So I'll keep that in mind. See, the thing is I've been talking with a lot of people about trailer hubs, and there seems to be an ongoing debate about whether certain 5-inch trailer hubs, which you could make front spindles out of in order to have reinforced front spindles, whether certain trailer hubs would actually fit Ford Ranger 5-inch rims. And I've actually got a spare set of Ford Ranger 5-inch rims. I also have a spare set of 4-bolt rims and 5-bolt rims that originally came off of, I think one was an Escort, and I think the other set, if I remember right, came off a Mazda Miata. So I've got a couple of different options there, mostly 14-inch stuff. The thing is 14 and 15-inch tires I can get a hold of really cheap all over the place on Marketplace for like $200 a set. So I'm debating more that kind of idea. The other thing is if I do it with 14s and I do it with a 5-lug pattern, especially in a Ford Ranger 5-lug, it's really easy later on to get a hold of 31-inch tires on a 5-bolt 15. So that's where I would really go with it if it was my build. Yeah, I actually do have a machine that I've debated doing that with. It just hasn't really been in the cards. The whole monster mower thing just doesn't excite me like it does some other people. But I am thinking on it. Let's see, we got Connecticut, Ohio, Georgia. Let's see. And apparently my mouse is going to hijack everything and decide to scroll like a banshee. Okay, there we go. Do you still ride your mowers all the time? Well, let's just say last year I was intending to go and be able to take my mower and go to a couple of different places, and it just plain didn't happen because, well, things got interesting. I do have a couple of different terrain parks that I intend to go visit. Anybody that's in Maine, if you are in Maine, you're watching this, or you know somebody in Maine that does the mud mower stuff, get a hold of them. I have found out that Fry Mountain will allow ATVs as long as they are actually legally registered ATVs, which means you can get a mud mower legally registered in the state of Maine. Been there, done that, proved it, was the first. So I am debating trying to see if I can get enough people together to be able to go do a Fry Mountain visit. There's another park that allows ATVs that I've been talking with. We might be able to get something together up there. I was trying to last year, but as we all know, things kind of happened. All right, let's see here. Northern Ireland. There we go, mate. Good job. Upstate New York. Upstate New York's got a lot of places to go riding, I've heard. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what everybody seems to say. Craftsman Crusher wants to know, when will the cold start start? To be quite honest, I am not a fan of cold start videos. I I just don't understand why people are so obsessed with them. Now, if I do manage to go and get working on the Monte Carlo this summer, and I manage to go and get into my garage and start working on the Monty, then yes, the first couple of times I try and start it, considering it's been sitting there untouched for almost going on 8, 9 years. At this point, it's like a barn find in my own garage. If I do go to start that, I will make sure to put that on video, but I'm not really into cold starts. I'm sorry, guys. It's just not my thing. Care 66, I got tractors up here for free. If you're in Maine, hit me up. I've got a trailer and a truck. We can talk. It's easier talking to a camera than to hundreds of people. You know, old school, see, in all honesty, talking to a camera when I'm just recording a how-to video, that doesn't bother me. I don't ever get stage fright when it comes to making how-to videos, when it comes to doing any of that, because it's just the camera. On the other hand, when I have to sit here and I got to talk with all of you, especially the last time, I mean, we cleared 100 people on here. That's why I didn't bother advertising this live stream on any other media, because we cleared over 120 people on this live stream the last time that I hosted one. And the comments were just insane. I could not keep up with it. It literally was scrolling 2 times faster than I can answer questions towards the end of the live stream. Can we get a link for the belts or where to go, please? Okay, so to answer Randy's question on how I find Kevlar belts, what I do is, the first thing I do is I find out exactly what length the belt needs to be. So let's say you have your Craftsman model number for the belt and you end up finding it on, oh, I don't know, Sears Parts Direct. That's a place that a lot of people end up talking with me about. So take the model number off Sears Parts Direct, throw it into Amazon, bounce it around on Amazon. Usually the first like 4 searches will end up coming up with belt sizes that match to that Sears Parts Direct number. See, Sears Parts Direct doesn't want to go and tell you what the belt length is. They want you to buy through them. That's why they keep it proprietary. That way they get to charge you $30 for a belt. Now, if you take that model number, you put it on Amazon, all the Chinese knockoff people have figured out the fact that if they can manage to go and group together, you'll buy the belt there. So throw it in there, find out exactly what size it is. Take that size number and put Kevlar V-belt after it. At that point, you're going to end up with a bunch of different Kevlar versions that are going to come up. Usually my options that I go after are usually PIX belts, P-I-X. PIX belts are what I usually tend to run. If you can get the Husky belts, I usually sometimes run those. But basically, I deliberately look for anything that is full blue Kevlar. The one thing I've noticed is that Max Power belts, which claim that they're full Kevlar, the brown Max Power belts just do not last anywhere near as good as the blue full Kevlar belts do. I'm not sure why. I don't know what it is, especially considering they tend to cost about $5 more. You would think they'd last about $5 longer, but I have quit actually buying Max Power unless I have, let me rephrase that. I have quit buying Max Power belts unless if I can find a PIX belt. There we go. If I can find a blue one, I buy that. Otherwise, I buy Max Power. And as far as the brand on the blue belts, it really doesn't seem to go and matter, but PIX seems to be the one I go with the most. You should build a camper tractor. That would be cool. If I get this thing pushed a little further, I'd love to go and build what they call an excursion trailer. An excursion trailer would be cool. An actual 8-foot long elevated trailer that has the fold downs and the tent pop up on top. That would be cool. Something like that I think would be neat. Craftsman Crusher wants to know, would I ever sell the Mud Wizard? The answer to that is no. And the reason why I would never sell Mud Wizard isn't because of any... It's because I would never ever get the amount of money that I have in Mud Wizard back out. And that's the thing you find out anytime you're customizing vehicles, customizing toys, customizing anything, is the base product always sells better than the customized model unless you have some major name following it. Case in point, like things like Cobra. The name Cobra Custom, that follows it, and it gives it a reason for the customer to cost more. If you can't manage to go and have that following name, customizing does nothing but make it for you, which means nobody else wants to pay your price. As far as anybody else is concerned, it's still a lawn tractor. It doesn't matter that it's got $300 worth of parts into it. It doesn't matter that I've put a carb kit on it. It doesn't matter any of that. All of it is just a lawn tractor as far as the average Joe is concerned. So therefore, it doesn't matter whether I've got $200 into it or whether I've got $2,000 into it. I'm going to get offered a lawn tractor's price. So no, I'm never going to bother selling it because I'll just never get paid what it's worth. The other thing is it's custom to the point that the only person who's ever going to be able to fix that custom suspension on the front is me. I mean, that's not saying that somebody couldn't take it over and learn how I built it. I mean, I've got all the videos up there and everything else. But when you consider that there's only 3 tractors in existence on YouTube currently that I know of, 2 of which are actually by the same YouTuber, with the 3rd one being mine, that have that style of suspension, there's not really much to learn from and to go from. It's a pretty new field. It's a pretty new market. And it just is what it is. It's not worth selling. Yeah, there we go. Nice shirt. Yeah, that's my Little Caesars. And it ended up working with Jerk of All Trades. He's actually on here right now. Jerk of All Trades and I actually ended up working together this summer in order to do some stuff. And he works doing storage unit work. And this actually came from a free storage unit. And hey, it survived this summer. It's a little bit bleached and everything else, but it's comfortable. So I love it. Mud Mowers from Hell. Stretch the front, move the axle forward. That way you won't have to mess with the belt issue. Check my rigs out on Mud Mowers from Hell on Facebook, and I have a few of them. Okay, so Mud Mowers from Hell. The problem, let me rephrase that. I don't actually have a problem with your system. What my problem is the tractor that I wish to build with has a side input shaft transmission in it, which means that as it is, just lifting it the 6 inches I want to lift it means that I've already got to take what would stock be a 98-inch belt, and I've got to extend it as it is already out to, I think the maximum I can order in full Kevlar is a 120-inch belt. And so I'm going to already be pushing the belt limits along with everything else just to attempt to get 6 inches of lift. So yeah, let me get back to you. Let me work on some more schematics, and maybe we can do some sort of joint build idea. I'll tell you exactly which machine I'm talking about later in private, and maybe you can hunt for one this summer, and then we could do a back and forth build or something like that. Who knows? I really like your machines, by the way. By the way, anybody watching this, if you're not on Mud Mowers from Hell's subscription list, you should be. Whoa, ho, okay. I have got to figure out why it is this thing keeps jumping down through the list every time I hit the scroll button. I have a question on my Murray. I put a new belt on and now my clutch doesn't work. Like when I push on the clutch, it does not stop. It keeps going. What should I do? Okay. Nick, I'm going to go with the idea we're talking about a stock belt onto a stock belt system. And usually what tends to happen most of the time is that at some point, either somebody upgraded the size of the idler pulley, or when you ordered up your belt, you ended up getting one size too small. What usually ends up happening on an older machine is at some point somebody threw an idler pulley on that was one size bigger in order to make a stretch belt work, or you ended up ordering a belt that ended up being 1 inch too small. What I've ended up discovering multiple times, especially with Murrays, is that for some reason, the belt size on a Murray is a half size. And so the manufacturers of belts will end up matching them a half size down or a half size up. And so my bet is check the idlers. My second bet would be you need a belt that is 1 inch longer. Oh, P.S. The way that you can test my theory is get in underneath the machine, dump your brake all the way to the bottom, start the machine up, and if you look in underneath, you should see that belt actually come loose from either the front pulley or the back pulley. And if it's not doing that, then try taking, with the machine off, try taking your clutch and ratcheting it just a little bit further, either with a ratcheting belt strap or something like that, and then start your machine and see if it actually stays there and doesn't try and engage. Just 2 cents worth of other ideas you can add in. Jerk of all trades confirms that there's a huge mud scene in upstate New York. Yeah, agreed. There seems to be a big mud scene going on. The issue seems to be whether it's ATV legal to run in any of the events or trails. And that's the reason that there's problems here in Maine with what I want to do, is that there's only 2 places at this point that will let me run a registered legal ATV in their courses. Okay. So I'm getting this question a lot, so I'm going to pick out this one. It's and I get this on the videos a lot on the Facebook release for it. Marvin wants to know, why don't you do a Power Wheels build for yourself, not your son? I'm talking something with a motorcycle engine that's fast and cool. I'm not allowed to use that term when talking. Everybody else is doing it. Just saying. Okay. Let me answer that question for you. Dear Marvin, my mama always told me if everybody else was jumping off of a bridge and they told you it was a good idea, would you do it too? No, but seriously. Okay. So I get it. I get it that it would be cool to drop a motorcycle motor in. It would be cool to do a chain drive down in underneath your crotch. That way, if it ever snaps, you're guaranteed you're never having kids ever again. That must be really appealing to some people. But as far as I'm concerned, I am the one and only YouTuber to ever do it by a drive shaft, with the exception being a clone build by another YouTuber. Carts and Cameras, I'm calling you out, dude. Your wagon build is a clone of mine. Thanks. Thanks for cloning my machine. Anyways, so as far as my build is concerned, it's the only one in existence. It's the only one that uses a clutch to a drive shaft to go directly into a transmission to be able to have brakes, the rear drive capability, to be able to actually locker it or have an open diff, all of that. It's unique, it's me, and it's not what everybody else is doing while they jump off of a bridge. The whole motorcycle thing, it'll pass. It's a fad that comes around on YouTube just about every 3 years or so. The thing about the motorcycle engine fad is it shows up on YouTube about every 3 years. Basically, you end up with some particular series of Hondas or Yamaha or something like that that consistently ends up with bad forks or ends up with bad drivetrain problems, but the motors end up being perfectly fine. And therefore, you end up with 300,000 of them in a junkyard with blown out forks or a blown out rear end, but perfectly running motors. So all of a sudden, everybody on YouTube has this free motorcycle engine. Let's drop it into this. Let's drop it into that. About 7 years ago, the fad was trying to go and put them into Volkswagen Beetles. A few years after that, the fad was putting them in GT6000 lawn tractors because they have a side shaft driven transmission. There were about 5 monster mowers that showed up at that time running 33-inch size tires, running 1,000cc Honda. Oh, it was Goldwings. Goldwings at the time were dropping dead on their the rear bearings or the rear drive or something like that. And Goldwings was just dropping dead one right after another. And so all of a sudden, these 1,000cc Honda motors showed up everywhere. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry dropped one into a GT6000 and built some lifted mud mower. And they were all over the place. You can find them in monster mowers from back 3-4 years ago, all over the place. The whole drop in a motorcycle engine thing, it comes and goes about every 3 years. I like being unique. I like the fact that my motor sits under the hood. I like the fact that my motor is a drive shaft driven setup. I like the fact that if the chain snaps, it's going to be in front of my toes, not coming up through into my nose. Hey, I just rhymed. That was pretty good. So yeah, that's the reason why. You know, if I want to do the same thing everybody else is doing and jump off the same bridge, sure. Let's see. Next build plans. So, okay. Dirt Bike MX Pro, I'm going to assume you're probably somebody who's followed my channel for a few years. If you are, you know that basically every winter I plan a build for the January drop-off. I don't keep it secret the fact that my income during January, February, and into early March goes to absolute snot as far as YouTube is concerned. So that's the reason why usually I end up starting a build of some sort during January, February, and March. Build videos do not make you money on YouTube. There's another YouTuber fact for you. Build videos do not make you money. They're fun. They gain you subscribers. They don't make you money. Sponsorship, advertisement people, they hate build series. They stay away from them. So just so you know, What makes you the money is when you show the end product, you're burning donuts, you're burning through mud holes, you're burning down the track, all of that kind of stuff. So going back to what you were saying, the problem right now is I do not have the finances for a build. On the other hand, just before everything went down as far as my divorce was concerned, I actually had organized and bought a bunch of different stuff for upgrades for different things. So there will not be a build per se going on this January, February, like there usually is on this channel, but there will be a lot of let's upgrade this, let's upgrade that, let's take this up a notch and go from there. Unfortunately, that's just the predicament I'm in right now. Let's see. How fast does your mower run? My son has a Craftsman. It will run 30 to 35 miles per hour. Okay, so 30 to 35 miles per hour. Okay, let's see how close I can get. I'm going to put my money on you have a 6-inch engine pulley and you have a 4-inch pulley on your transmission, and I'm going to bet you have a 6-speed rear end in it in order to be able to do that 30 to 35. How close am I? So, Ronald Ritchie, how fast does my machine go? Actually, in its current setup, it's got my zinc lockered Spicer in it. And so if you've ever dealt with Spicer transmissions, let me put it in this perspective. Stock, a Spicer does 7 miles per hour. A 6-speed Spicer does 7 miles per hour stock. A 6-speed MST 206 does 8 miles per hour stock. Therefore, if you put a 1-to-1 ratio on most machines, as in a 5-inch pulley on the front and a 5-inch pulley on the back, on a Spicer, you usually top out with 22-inch tires. You usually top out somewhere in the ballpark of about 20 miles per hour. On an MST 206, because of the higher gear that an MST has, and the fact that you're going from 7 to 8 as far as stock, you usually top out at about 23 to 24 miles per hour. So in my current setup, to answer your question, with the Spicer that is in it, with my zinc locker in it, you're welcome to look that up. I'm the only one to ever do that. With the zinc locker in it, with a Spicer 6-speed in it, that machine only does about 20 miles per hour. If I was to swap it to the MST 206, which is what it's designed to be running, then I would do somewhere in the ballpark of around 23. As far as whether I want to go faster, the answer right now is no. 21 to 23 miles per hour on new suspension that's never been tested. And the other thing is I built that suspension using smaller Heim joints than was actually recommended by several people that off-road. So I'm actually rather paranoid about whether I'm going to break something. The other thing I've never admitted to any of you, and I'll admit here, is that I actually ran out on my build budget during that build. And so all of the bolts that are going through the Heim joints right now are not grade 8 bolts like they should be. They're actually horrible, horrible AutoZone bulk buy bolts. And so I don't really beat on the machine because I am thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly fearful that at some point one of those bolts is going to snap and I'm going to face plant straight over the front of the machine. So going faster and jumping it more will be when I have the finances to upgrade everything to grade 8 bolts. At that point, then we'll beat on it some more. If it survives the beating at that point, then we'll decide to up the speed on the machine. The other thing is the Craftsman right now has the stock original clutch location. And with the stock original clutch location, you can only fit a 5.5 mower deck pulley in underneath there. So in order for me to actually up the speed in the machine and still keep the 5.5 mower deck pulley that's on the rear, in order to have all the extra gripping area for the belt, then I need to actually take the clutch and relocate the clutch about an inch further back so that I can up it into a 6.5-inch pulley, which is what I want to do. We'll get there. We're just not going to do it right now because it's extra money I don't need to be spending. All right. Wow. Okay. Lawrence 66. I got over 200 tractors up here in New York. I need to clean up a little. Dude, I'm pretty sure 200 tractors is a lot of needing to clean up, not a little. I actually try to keep less than 40 here. Here in the state of Maine, you actually can end up with an illegal junkyard clause in the state of Maine. And with lawn tractors, ATVs, snowmobiles, any of that stuff, I think it's something like if over two-thirds of the equipment available is non-functional and non-related to active use equipment, you can end up with an illegal junkyard clause. So that's part of the reason why it is. I almost always have a Craftsman, a Murray, and an MTD of some sort up and running, is because at that point, I can have a junkyard that matches to those three particular machines. And at that point, I'm within the junkyard legal law. Kind of. We're going to go with kind of. I'm technically a little outside of it at 40 machines, but as long as I keep processing through them and I'm not storing 40 machines over the winter, I should be fine. Old School Repair Shop says, I am thinking about one of those overland campers. Okay, so you're going with what I said earlier. Just trying to figure out how to get air from the tow vehicle to the camper. Air from the tow vehicle to the camper. Old School, hit me up with an email. Maine, as in the state, MAINE, Maine Mud Mower at yahoo.com. Hit me up with an email. State the fact that you are who you are. I have a couple of ideas for you that I can forward you some links and stuff, but I'm not going to get into that right now because we talk for hours on the idea of onboard air. I do know what a couple of other people have done, and I do know a couple of options for you, and I can point you in that direction. While we're at it, anybody. I check my email at least 3 times a day. I usually check it around 9 o'clock every morning. I usually check it around 1 in the afternoon, and I usually check it again, usually around 10 o'clock at night. If you want to go and send me some questions, you're looking for links and stuff like that, feel free to hit me up. I will admit something to you, and I will ask you to do something for me. If you ask me for parts and I go through the effort to send you an Amazon link, I am going to totally admit that I sent you an Amazon link through my associates program, and that if you order through it, I actually make about 50 cents usually when you order through it. So do me the favor, if I do the effort in order to find you a part, please be honorable enough to order it through the link I send you. I really appreciate it. I know 50 cents doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider that I usually receive somewhere between 5 to 15 emails every couple of days or so, and that's time that I spend in order to go find that link, in order to send them, plus write them out a description, it'd be nice to at least make my 50 cents, okay? So feel free at any point to send me an email. You can also hit me up through the messenger on Facebook on the Redneck Computer Geek page. Just do me a favor if you're doing that. Do keep in mind it does not give me notices for it, and I don't tend to check it anything more than about once a day. The reason being is because the Facebook app that is on your phone is, well, let's just say the Facebook app that is on your phone is complete garbage as far as managing your page, and it sucks and just is not worth using. So unless I'm sitting at my computer, I don't ever bother checking it. So please understand it takes me a day. Holy cow, you guys have been riding out a storm. Let's see if we can get caught back up here and see what we can do. Wow, I totally got off on a tangent. Here we go. All right, let's skip down through. Let's see what we can find here and go from there. I need like 30 more of those shirts. Yeah, the shirts, I love them. Actually, you know, I tell you what, Little Caesars, these shirts are comfortable. They're absolutely comfortable. They fit nice. You know, if you got a little tiny bicep like mine, they fit just right. Nice on the chest. They actually fit really good. I love them. Would you ever create an unlocked mud mower build? Would you ever create an unlocked mud mower build? No, I probably would not. I have debated numerous times going to that idea. I have debated numerous times doing a stock to build again, like I did with the original main mud mower. If you guys would like to go and see that, hit me up and make some comments or something, and I'll go through and take a look at that. I have an LT2000. My belt is always slipping. The answer to that is put a second spring over the top of your clutch spring. That way you get more tension. An MTD, the stock clutch spring on an MTD actually goes over the top of a stock Craftsman clutch spring. Do it. Hey, Mayhem and Country Living is here. You guys need to go check him out. That dude is really cool. He does a lot of fun stuff. If you happen to be a prepper, I've learned a lot from him. Go check on him. So my girlfriend just dropped in. Apparently, she's on break. She's working right now. That's why she's not here. At some point, maybe she'll stop in and be on one of these chats. And I love you, Jesse. I hope you have a really good night, and I'll be there to pick you up in a little bit. Would you ever build a racing mower? I get this question a lot. The problem is the nearest place to actually race a racing mower is almost a 2.5-hour drive away from me. I have been invited. It's a 2.5-hour drive. So yeah, What I will tell you, though, is that there is a famous YouTuber that supposedly built a racing mower that actually lives half an hour away from that racetrack. So at some point, you should probably bug him to go and take his racing mower to the racetrack. How many small engines do you have? Right now, I've got 30 machines and probably right now I've got 30 lawn tractors kicking around, and I've probably got another 12 motors in the garage right now. So probably about 40 small engines at this point. What do you think about old wheel horse lawnmowers? Love them. Absolutely love them. I love anything that was built during the time where people actually built stuff to last. That's the reason why I'm a big GT6000 fan from the 80s. They just plain were built to last. Uh-oh, guys. So turns out Jessie was on here and she saw the sun kissed. I just got yelled at. I'll probably have to give her a nice back rub or something. Yeah, okay. Whatever. It works. All right, let's see. Let's skip down through here. I got about 9 or 10 more minutes, and then we'll call it good. All right. So, guys, if you end up coming in here on the future, I do try to go down through and reread through the comments and stuff. I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD, so sometimes it's a little hard for me to focus and it's a little hard for me to go and read through stuff. So just do me a favor and don't copy and paste the same answer over and over again. That just absolutely is aggravating because I'm a slow reader to begin with. I'll totally admit the fact I'm a very slow reader. I talk really fast. I have a really large dialogue, but as far as my actual reading capability, I'm actually really low. So that's a straightforward answer to you guys is I actually have a really low reading capability. I did 20. Oh, Carts and Cameras is here. Carts and Cameras is actually a really cool guy. You should go check him out. He's like me. He tends to do a little bit more of an abstract build. He doesn't tend to go and stay to the cookie cutter stuff. So Carts and Cameras is actually a really good guy to go check out. I totally sponsor him as far as people should go join him. He says, and I trust anything that he says because he's usually pretty good about brutally testing things. I did 25 miles per hour in my Craftsman 6-speed with a stock engine pulley and 3-inch in the rear and blew up the transaxle after 3 hours of riding. I totally don't doubt that whatsoever. That's part of the reason why it is I keep my pulley ratios 1-to-1 is because I used to actually run a 5.5 to a 5 instead of a 5.5 to a 5.5. And it was just enough that I kept blowing fourth gear out of MST 206s and MST 205s. For some reason, there is something about clutch dropping. There's something about clutch dropping in fourth gear with a little bit more than a 1-to-1 pulley ratio that you will literally just blow that gear to smithereens right straight off of the spindle. Well, here's a debate. Chris says, Chris Donaldson, I probably just butchered that. Chris Donaldson says, I would rather play in the dirt than go fast. If I had dirt to play with, I probably would too. The thing about around here is that our terrain is such a mishmash that you really can't build for a certain thing. You basically have to Swiss Army knife your build. That's one of the reasons why it is when Powertrain ended up coming up through to one of our off-road courses here with dirt every day, that they ended up with so many major issues with most of the rock crawler units. Was the rock crawler units actually couldn't deal with our mud terrain. The tires that they run in doing rock crawling do not get the appropriate grip to be able to make it in mud terrain, and they just got stuck one right after another. And that's why the episode, they ended up actually releasing and admitting that the episode for that is only 34 minutes long rather than the usual 47 to 50 minutes, because of the fact that their footage was just essentially one rock crawler getting stuck after another in the main mud. It's really actually a fun thing to go back through and read. I was scared of doing 15 miles per hour. If you're on the stock steering, 15 miles per hour is more than fast enough and just fine. Just bought a new mower the other day. I can't figure out what it is. It's like the Husqvarna GTH 200 you had. GTH 200. You mean the big giant one that had the 50-something inch mowing deck, or the 48-inch mowing deck? If that is the one that I'm thinking of, if it's the big giant, one, it's Husqvarna's knockoff of a GT6000. And double check. I'm pretty sure what you're going to find is that if you compare a GT6000 drivetrain with the same hydro system in it, it's going to be the same exact thing as that GTH. Don't quote me on it unless I'm right. Then you can quote me. Okay, we got a couple minutes left here. Let's see what we can find for finishing quotes. Wow, guys, you guys have thoroughly filled this up. All right, let's see if we can hit a couple of more here. I want to get a starter welder for some exhaust issues. I know you said that one was pretty good. Yes, if you go back through and you look for the Go Plus welder that I did, or if you want to send me an email, I will forward you a link to where I bought it on Amazon. Apparently my stolen soda had burps in it. If you want to go and send me an email, I will forward you a link to where you can buy the one that I use. Well, I did use until it got stolen. But you know what? I loved it so much, I intend to buy another one because, hey, look what I found. Found them. Cheap welder, $1 million ideas. Redneck Computer Geek. So as soon as I got some extra cash, in order to be able to float you guys a couple of send outs, we will get back to sending out some of those. Let's see. So the question just came up, and I did want to clarify it since I did ask you guys that if I send you something, please buy through the link. Does it cost extra to buy through the Amazon Associate link? The answer is no. Actually, it costs you exactly the same amount. I end up actually making like 50 cents off of the purchase or whatever. Basically, if it's an item below 20 bucks, I make like 15 cents or something like that. If it's an item above like $100 bill, I make like $2 or something like that. Basically, that's what it comes down to. Carts and cameras, I just got 90 subs. Sweet. Everybody put carts and cameras over 100. Go find a video of his you thought was cool, grab it, throw it up on Facebook, post up, need to subscribe to this guy, he's awesome. Slam him, get him up. Okay, we got one last question here, which I get quite often, so I'm going to go and go for it. Do you think single cylinders are better in the mud than V-twins due to them being lighter? The answer to that question is it depends on what you are actually doing. As far as pure torque, a V-twin will always win in pure torque. If you are torquing up, if you are doing something where you need to be able to have that tugging power, you're going to need a V-twin. If you deal with mud like I do, and you want to be able to wheelie it up in order to get your front end up so that you can walk it across that mud hole, then a single works better for what I do. Now, you guys have all asked me to throw a twin onto the mud mower build, so therefore I have found one. I will probably throw it on, but I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to do a second mud mower build and throw it on, or whether I'm going to throw it onto the Mud Wizard. If you guys want, feel free to get onto, I'm about to quit this so that I can head out, but feel free to get onto any of the photos that I post in the community section of YouTube and tell me what you think about that idea. Would you like to go and see a comparison video of something like, say, a 19 horsepower single versus a 19 horsepower twin, or something like that? Briggs also makes a 21 horsepower single and a 21 horsepower twin, or a 22 horsepower twin. Would you like to see a comparison video? Would that be worth me doing for you guys in the community? I'm willing to do videos for the community, but you guys got to give me input that it's worth my time. All right, guys, I'm very sorry, but I got to go and cut this chat short. It might sound corny, but one of my favorite things to do, being Jesse's boyfriend, is to go get her from work every day, have her sit in the Ranger. She loves to go and sit in the side seat right beside me, and drive her home every day. It's just one of my things that I really enjoy. So I'm going to go and head out, and I'm glad you guys could stop in and join me. And we'll do this chat again in 2 weeks, hopefully, as long as everything is all right. And what we're going to do is I will post up, if this chat's going to happen in 2 weeks, I'll make sure to post it up on Tuesday that the chat's going to be happening. So feel free to watch for it on Tuesday. Everybody have a good night and stay out of trouble.